swift. Rocks are ancient, mountains are high, and oceans green. Winds are restless, trees are patient, and you, my child, are awake. Waves are crashing, rivers churning, planets twirling, stars ablaze. Storms are raging, atoms whirling, and you, my child, are awake to perceive these wondrous things, to count the beats of a blackbird's wings, to tell a story and dance and sing. And all the splendors of creation are very happy that you came, because they needed someone to see them, and you, my child, are awake. To perceive these wondrous things, to count the beats of a blackbird's wings, to tell a story and dance and sing. Seeds are hopeful, dewdrops fleeting, oak trees are crooked, redwoods straight, and they are not known to the sleeping, but you, my child, are awake. You, my child, are awake. You, my child.
Good morning, and welcome to the online service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is Deede Cook, and I'm pleased to be acting as your worship associate today. Our service leader this morning is our minister, Margie Allen. I would like to offer a warm welcome to anyone who is joining us for the first time. This morning, we mark the end of the academic and the church year with an annual celebration that is dear to the hearts of our congregation. I think this service will give you a good sense of who we are as a community. Our services do vary in style and content, so I invite you to visit us more than once. We are a liberal religion in the sense that we are open to new ideas, we do not adhere to a single fixed creed, and we share a commitment to social justice. You can find more information about us on our website, UUFSB.org. And now, an announcement about next week's service. The Annual General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations begins next week on a virtual platform. Sessions begin on Wednesday and end with a special Sunday morning worship service. We will be joining that service at our usual Sunday worship time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So please Just click on the link on our webpage or in the special news feed as usual, and our wonderful tech team will connect us all to the General Assembly service, where we will be part of a congregation of thousands. So now, back to today. Please plan to stay with us following the service for a few minutes of social time, where you can wave to all the people in the boxes and say hi. Afterwards, you can move into a smaller chat room for deeper conversation by going to our website or yesterday's newsfeed and clicking on small group chats. This is a wonderful way to meet new people or to connect with old friends. Thank you all, and welcome to our fellowship.
On this morning of the longest day of the year, at the gateway to sunshine and shoreline and getaway adventures of summer, we welcome the sound of our bell, our invitation to a time of worship, song, and reflection together. Come, come, ours is no caravan of despair. Oh, that was too faint. Let me try again.
I invite you to light a candle or a chalice at home as I light mine. We can think of UU members all over the world who are worshiping at home just as we are today. We are united in spirit by the words of Reverend Cynthia Landrum. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other.
My good people, my beloveds, my dearest dears, on this summer solstice morning in the month of Pride, on the weekend of the brand new federal holiday of Juneteenth, we gather again for a service that has become the traditional culmination of our congregational year, the service we call Flowers and Passages. We take account this morning of the year we've shared, recognizing important milestones in our own lives and also milestones in the life of our fellowship itself, which will be entering its 59th year this fall. That's the passages part. The flowers bloom again this year inside a pair of meditations. The embodied exchange of flowers we are used to gives way to something new again, which I hope you will love, nevertheless. We will share personal milestones as we did last year. No parade to the microphone again. During the silence, in the middle of the meditation, each of you who wishes to will be asked to enter into the Zoom chat 1 or 2 short sentences that describe a personal passage or achievement or milestone that you'd like to share with everyone. Your milestone can be any important movement in your life since last June. For instance, it could be a loss, a commitment, a birth, a graduation, a retirement, maybe some skill you mastered this year, a victory of some kind, an award or an honor you received, a change in your job situation or a divorce, a loss, an insight, something amazing you saw or heard for the first time, a peak experience, or a resounding disappointment, a diagnosis perhaps, or a cure. So be thinking about what important turn you took in your life this year. In the meantime, Deede moves us now towards that point in our service with a poem called Soul Lifts by Tess Baumberger. Wouldn't it be great if you could take a picture of your soul?
Soul lifts. Wouldn't it be great if you could take a picture of your soul? Then, when your mother wanted to brag about you, she could show people the picture and say, "That's my daughter. Doesn't she have a beautiful soul, all sparkly and many-colored and flowing all around her?" Wouldn't it be great if we walked around surrounded by our souls so that they were the first things people saw instead of the last things? Then people would judge us by who we really are instead of how we look. Imagine no more racism, ageism, sexism, faddism, shortism, homophobia. Imagine falling in love with who a person is just by looking at them. It would be kind of a cloaking device hiding physical faults, defects, or even perfections. I'd want it to be mandatory. Then people would work at making their souls more attractive instead of their bodies and their faces. Imagine people knowing by your soul that you really need a hug. Imagine people helping each other and their souls changing colors or growing. Imagine soul gyms with exercises to get your sagging soul in shape. Imagine the long lines forming for soul lifts at churches, temples, mosques, synagogues, or nature's grand cathedrals. Tess Bomberger, her poem, Soul Lifts. This fellowship moves through time just as we do. It also faces challenges, forges memories, learns and grows, creates relationships, and develops expertise. Margie and I are now going to name some of the milestones we achieved as a fellowship since last year at this time.
Number 1, under the guidance of our pandemic response team and board, we gathered supplies and created protocols for keeping people as safe as possible inside our building, and small groups have begun to return to in-person activities. We're looking to upgrading our building's ventilation filtration system in the next few years in anticipation of future pandemics. In the meantime, we may need to purchase a number of portable units. By the way, it would help us so much if you would let Susan Catanzaro in the office know if and when you are fully vaccinated.
Number 2, we installed a security camera system on our property, founded by a generous donation by Ron Posnick. Monitors in the office currently provide views of our roadside signs, driveway, and office approach. We plan to add cameras over time to cover other parts of the building and grounds.
Number 3, we replaced our worn-out wooden sign on Nichols Road with a PVC duplicate and new light fixtures.
Number 4, Master Gardener John Lutterby, who also happens to be our incoming board president, and a small team of helpers have been giving our landscaping some personal attention, starting with the basics: weeding, pruning, removing debris, identifying priorities, organizing work parties. That small team needs to be larger. If you have gardening skills or just need to touch the earth and learn, talk to John.
Number 5, a Crackerjack committee set about creating a complete revision of our fellowship bylaws on the way to implementing the restructuring recommendations of a 2019-20 task force led by Dan Bartley. Joanne Hammer, Larry Mazza, and 3 of our many Lindas, Cortese, Volkers, and Anderson, are deep in the work and making good headway.
Number 6, the Committee on Ministries of the Congregation, COMC, created a draft of a covenant of right relationship, the how we propose to add to the what of our purpose as a UU fellowship. The draft document addresses many aspects of our relationships with one another in our congregational life. Our Association of Congregations continues to make deliberate and challenging shifts away from institutional systems and habits that tend to keep power and influence in the hands of people raised white. Our proposed covenant includes requests of one another that will help us do our part in creating that deep cultural change.
Number 7, this year we engaged in an unprecedented way with other congregations to produce services in which we partnered with or highlighted Unitarian Universalists outside of our own congregation. We've attended a number of services produced at the national level and attended by UUs around the world. We've also participated in a number of joint services with other local congregations, including one island-wide service called Remembering the Body, which was attended by more than 330 area UUs and hosted by us. We've been more in touch with Unitarian Universalists outside our walls than ever before. It feels good.
And number 8, finally, this year we lost Hugh Powell, Chris Licata, whose lives we celebrated in virtual services, and also Joan Fike, a founder of this congregation, whom we will remember when we are able to be together again in our sanctuary. Some people moved away from us. Mina Ostapchuk to Maine, Caroline and John Chiarelli to California, Keelan Murphy and Michael Vaughn to their home in upstate New York, though Keelan and Michael are retaining their membership and active connection. And finally, UUFSB agreed to sponsor Caitlin Corrigan Orozco, a child of our congregation, as she works toward becoming a UU minister.
For our fellowship, the year now coming to an end was a year of coping, moping, noping, and hoping. We coped with COVID conditions, trying our best to plan for the future without any help from an event horizon. We moped around a bit about the ways our collective life had changed. No hugs, no potlucks, no escaping Zoom life, no humans in the building for homecoming, no clapping, no Christmas ladies dancing or drummers drumming under the chairs. And we noped a lot too. Nope to the undermining of our democracy, nope to unjust treatment in policing of Black and Indigenous people and people of color, nope to vandals who are after our Black Lives Matter sign. And we hoped for Isaias to pass us by, for federal loans to be forgiven, for the percentage of vaccinated UUs in our fellowship to rise, for our renters to come back, for the day we would be able to worship together in person. We coped, moped, noped, and hoped, and things came out pretty darn well. Sing with me now, hymn number 22, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design, brought to you by Deede Cook's musical alter ego, Dorothea, and her husband, Peter Winkler.
Whose patterns all obey.
Lovely. Let eyes that in the plainest cloth a hidden beauty see, discern in us our richest hues, show us the patterns we may use to set our spirits free. With these words from our hymn, we enter into our flower communion. In envisioning this service, I imagine that not a few of us would be crossing into the summer season in a state of relative depletion. This pandemic has been hard on humans, harder than we even know, I believe. For many, these 16 months have seemed a frustrating life sputter and stall, full of worry and restlessness and the emotional toll of separation and isolation. Once upon a time, many years back in my life, I lived with a recovering alcoholic who told me that once she stopped drinking, all the colors came rushing back into her life. She hadn't even realized that she'd been living for years in a black and white world. Pandemic time might have felt that way to you. It did a little to me. Our flower communion this year plays on this idea. Life in black and white, the outline without the colors. So flower communion is an annual tradition in lots of UU congregations, but some of you may not be very familiar with the history of this spring ritual we share. We start with this little 3.5-minute animated or illustrated video from Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado. It tells the story. The Reverend Gretchen Haley narrates.
Nearly 100 years ago, the Unitarian minister Norbert Chopek offered his Czechoslovakian congregation a ritual to respond to their questions about how to be a community that welcomed rather than suppressed diversity. Czechoslovakia was a country formed in the aftermath of war, struggling just 5 years after the end of that war with questions of belonging and identity, trust and anxiety. Chopek's ritual took the traditional bread and wine communion that his community was too heretical for and too resistant to these usual symbols and played with this ritual. He turned instead to the beauty of nature all around them and invited each of his congregants to find a flower and bring it to the church one Sunday. That each person would find the flower that was beautiful to them was a symbol of their affirmation that each of us has a piece of the truth, our unique sense of what beauty means. On their way into the church, his congregation was in turn invited, each of them, to place that flower in a vase, which symbolized their free choice to enter into community alongside all the other people that saw beauty in their own way, symbolized by their flowers placed there as well. A free church where people freely choose to walk together across their differences. Once everyone had gathered, they'd bring the vase forward. Then the minister, Chopek, he would bless it. And then he'd invite everyone to choose a flower to take home with them, but just not the one that they came with. Again, this free choice affirmed each person's choice to be blessed by another and to receive with an open heart their different understandings of beauty, and to feel connected rather than divided by this difference. In this moment where so many forces seek to divide people, to play on our fears of differences and our anxieties of the other, here we remember that we freely choose to walk together and to be blessed by the differences between us and to see these differences as beauty.
As we enter into our time of meditation, the first of 2 times of reflection and prayer this morning, imagine all of us coming in the foyer doors of our building and into the sanctuary, bringing with us flowers from a black and white, pandemic-stressed world. We bring what we have because we're like that, generous. But knowing we are giving from a depleted place, from a tired, irritable, longing soul. What we bring is the mere outline of a flower, in the hope that what we have on hand to offer will suffice for the time being. We place our black and white flower in the basket with the others, all different kinds, just like the people who brought them. Perhaps you will see the flower you brought to this communion during the period of silence that follows. I invite you to bring that image into the silence with you and to see what you can do to imagine it, to pray it, to magic it back into color. Peter and Deede will bring us out of our shared silence with our hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. I hope you will join them in singing, because singing, of course, is part of the magic.
wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We support and sustain our fellowship through gifts of time, talent, and money. For us, giving is a spiritual practice. Each month, we share the plate with an organization devoted to social justice. This month's social justice partner is Gender Equality of New York, Jenny. Jenny is a nonprofit organization committed to achieving equal rights and ending discrimination for transgender, gender non-binary, and intersex New Yorkers and their families. It's important for us to remember that transgender people were not included in any of the LGBT civil rights bills. They can still be denied housing, employment, and other services. So a critical part of Jenny's work involves legislative activism and advocacy. Another essential part of Jenny's mission is to educate the public about the ongoing challenges the transgender community faces. Jenny is made up of volunteers who bring their professional skills, their lived experience, and their passion to this important work. They need and deserve our help and support. You can use the link posted in the chat right now, or you can click on the donate button on our website at uufsb.org. We ask that you be as generous as you can in your donations to the fellowship and to our social justice partners. We depend upon your pledge payments and your gifts to support the good work we do together.
Two roads
Robert Frost coming right into our hearts through that music. Our wonderful singers and Dan who put it together. Thank you. I invite you now to make yourselves comfortable once again for our second time of quiet reflection this morning. You'll have extra time, 3 minutes this time, which amounts to a UUFSB eon, because this is your opportunity to put your 1 or 2 short sentences describing your personal milestone into the chat. When I say 1 or 2 short sentences, I mean maybe 20 or so vivid, memorable words. For example, my statement this year might be something like, this year, Linda and I partnered in creating and leading 3 election week Vespers services and a Yule service, a fun first for us. So make yours no longer than that, so Deede, so I have time to read as many as possible out loud. To help us out, we ask that you start your statement with your first and last name, unless you'd like to be anonymous. So type in your name and then your statement. If for some reason I'm not able to get to all of them, which I have a feeling I'm not, don't worry. They'll all appear again in an upcoming news feed. And I know a few of you may not have access to the chat. We'll aim to let you be the first folks to speak during our social time after the service. You'll have to be bold, and I'll look to see if I can identify those who are trying to speak. So these 3 minutes of silence will be decorated with a slow parade of flowers. Again, a slow parade of flowers. The flowers you brought to this sanctuary, but restored to their true colors. Be sure to choose one to take home. The color that attracts you is important. And don't think that you can't choose green just because there's not a green flower. Or you can even choose a color that is not the color of the flower you pick, but pick a color. So put a milestone in the chat, choose a flower, remember a color. Let me read a few of these. Let's see, go back to the beginning. Lorraine Stid, I received a blessed gift. I found and met my birth family for the first time. Jackie Chartrand, after 7 years away, I'm back in the Three Village area. Maria Cecilia Torres, in gratitude for a cancer diagnosis which is teaching me how I truly want to live my life. Shelley Saris, I completed my 7th year volunteering for the Ronald McDonald House outreach to families of children hospitalized at Stony Brook Children's Hospital. John and Nancy Lieber, today we celebrated 40 years of loving marriage. Maureen Shaman, census work and contract tracing work, working for the collective good. Sherry Rasmussen, Mom passed this year and Dad is struggling with a recent cancer diagnosis. Wendy Engelhardt, my daughter graduates high school tomorrow and then begins her chosen path to becoming a police officer. Deede Cook, retirement and transition time for me, for Peter, and for our family. Some of the change is hard. Joanne Hammer and Jerry Celia joyfully announced the wedding of our daughter Delilah to her love Alex, the attaining of bat mitzvah by our granddaughter Ruthie, the birth of our daughter Rebecca's baby David in May, and our son also purchased a home in London with his love, Carolyn. Marie Chandick, I moved to my new home in Northampton, Pennsylvania this past year. It's good. I miss you all. The services lift me up. Dave Tarbell, I led a workshop for Ollie on Zoom and was amazed at the feedback and connection with others. Kat, Lucy, and Maggie Straub. Kat Straub, I did not sink into the dark depths of my grief. I remained strong for our girls, even when taking a single breath was hard. Nancy D'Angelo, this season was my first outdoor labyrinth walk in quite some time, as well as my first trip to the grocery store since last March. Deb Little, retired from Adelphi, worked on the People's Plan to transform policing on Long Island, lost her mom. Mina, her daughter, and Dan's, entered the last year of college, and Kelsey planned for the first year of grad school. Frances McGuire managed to fight off isolation and make a few quilts, scarves, and other things, as well as keep in contact with fellows and friends. Michael Vaughn, when the pandemic began, we had already pretty much moved to the Adirondacks and began our association with the local UU congregation. But because of UUFSB's great Zoom sessions, we reconnected with Stony Brook and have been steadfastly participating. Last week, we finally pulled up stakes and completely moved to the Adirondacks, but we'll continue to participate with UUFSB services and will attend in person when we travel down south visiting. Laurel Martin is moving next month to Jefferson's Ferry. Joan Rubenstein, I retired from a 30-year practice in psychiatry and moved from Port Jefferson to Patchogue. Peter Winkler, expecting to travel abroad this year, Deede and I instead traveled a good deal in our own sweet neighborhood, to borrow Thoreau's words, seeing it anew and discovering new things every day. And Janet and Ron Cagle welcomed 2 wonderful additions to their family. Our grandson, 4th grandson, Liam Maddox Cagle, born in February, to Christine and Travis, and they also adopted a rescue dog from North Carolina, Ollie, a border collie mix. Linda Michael's daughter, Jennifer, eloped with her longtime fiance, Tom Chiesa? I hope I got that right. Gilda Candela witnessed her son evolve into an amazing father. I've experienced the most wonderful new normal with my daughter. Donna Demian, I'm grateful for the healing of body and heart over the 2 months since my spinal surgery. Denise Stevenson, my son graduated from college with a degree in mechanical engineering technology. Ellen Bartley, just to let you know, not all of these are in the chat. Some people may have their chat set on all panelists only, so feel free to repost so that they get into the list for the newsletter. And wow, I think I actually almost did it. Keelan Murphy picked a hyacinth, pink. I resolved to hugely share all the much that I have inside me with those dear people, especially, of course, the people nearest, but those furthest, to heal myself in order to give outward my uniqueness. Faye, your weekly inspirational Zoom services are like a breath of fresh air, especially during the pandemic. Colleen Rudman, after 50 plus years of working, I officially retired last month. And by the way, she also is a member of the Bylaws Committee. And there we go. Thank you so much for your trust and hope in sharing these moments that have held such meaning for you this year. And those of you whom I skipped or missed, I apologize, but truly they will show up again and you'll be able to read them all. Deede and Peter prepared a new hymn for this service. It's hymn number 18 that we'll sing now. What wondrous love. The love that circulates among us is a continuous source of revival in times when the color just drains out of our lives. We turn to each other to be reminded about the things that matter, the ways we love each other, and centered on those things, pink begins to return to our cheeks, and color also to the outline of the flowers we are and we hold. Peter and Deede recorded this hymn in the original Southern Harmony shape note harmonic setting. I hope that you'll sing with them. I will.
Is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, when I was sinking down, when I was sinking down, beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end, I will sing, with thanks unto the end, I will sing.
Do you remember the color of the flower you chose to take with you into summer? If not, think of a color in the rainbow. Listen for the profile of that color in this reading, Claiming Our Colors. This is the color you will bring into summer with you. You can type it into the chat when the time comes. Margie and I will share the reading.
Calling out red. We were born on the red tide of our mother's blood. Every one of us came that way. Red is the color of life, of living large, of risk. Red is the color at the beginning, the ground and the root, the fierce passion to live, to survive, the will and the path to overcome all that is in the way. Red is the color of righteous rage, the anger that loves and does not leave. Red is determined, dogged, vivid. It burns on our cheeks. Red is the maple leaves in fall, the midlife car, the dog's new leash, the bee balm, and the tulip, the bloody meat, a basket of August tomatoes. Red is spicy, lush, alive, the pain that comes with the pleasure. Red is extreme. It surrounds and invades us. It moves. Red is the first blood and the war blood and the transfusion. Red serves and saves us. Red is alive. We are red. We are red.
Calling out orange. Orange is the fruit and the juice of morning, the first sip, the dreamsicle, the glow of 1,000 sunsets, the sweet gum and the sassafras. Orange is the splash on an empty canvas, the creative impulse, the challenge. Orange is heart to heart, how we are connected, the moral path. Orange is joy, a field of pumpkins in the fall, the flickering candlelight, the harvest moon. Orange glows. Orange is not quite running the red light, is savory and holy, sits still on a branch, the oriole who lives here. Orange sings a strange song, a warning, and an invitation. We are orange. We are orange.
Calling out yellow. Yellow is surprisingly unafraid. It flashes and beams. Yellow is the bee's stripe and the petals, a bed of marigolds, the finch's breast, the canary's song, the shaft of the flicker's feather. Yellow flies and blooms and warbles, is a taxi on its way to thereabouts. The school bus rattling and huffing on misty mornings. Yellow exaggerates, is loud, unmistakable. Yellow is brainy and brash, is belonging, is knowing, is the sun at noon. Yellow is out loud, an announcement, a message. Hello, look here. Yellow is the lemon's wrinkled skin, the tang. A liver going down, the bad sign. Yellow means go, but be careful. Ten cuidado. We are yellow. We are yellow.
Calling out green. Green is all go, 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 go. Green is new and starting out, wet behind the ears, learning quickly, the sprout, the new fruit, the leaf unfurling. Green is spring, and deeper summer, and deeper your face in the grass, smelling, seeing, being green. Green means growing. It reaches for the sky. Sun plus sky equals green, the canopy and the grass. Green is the frog on the lily pad and the mantis on the stalk. Green is a prayer, a resting place, verdant, a celebration. Green is jealous, longing, sickish, foul, but determined in healing. Green recovers, has heart, compassion. Green trusts. Green is a basket of summer garden, the scallions and the lettuce. Green is a bean, tasty, abundant, tender, hopeful. We are green. We are green.
Calling out blue. Blue is the sky against which we live, the background and the breath. Blue cools, it heals, is calm, icy, soothes. Blue is how far and how deep you can go, the waves, the lake stretching out to the hills, the river riffling by the rocks. Blue is that sound. Blue talks out loud, seeks truth, creates. Blue dwells, contemplates. Blue is a sad song, but strong. Lapis, azure, cobalt, ultramarine, faience. Blue has many names. Blue is as changeable as the sea. Blue is a mountain in the distance, an emerald, pricey, rare, and everywhere. The stars are blue, the uniform, the suit. Blue is official. Blue is that cornflower, the jay, the heron standing in the creek. Blue waits, squawks, strikes. Blue waits. We are blue. We are blue. Deede, you're muted.
Thank you. Calling out indigo. Bluer than blue. Deeper, indigo. Midnight, a blue to sleep in. Dreaming blue. Deep, sweet dreams. Indigo is diving in and going deep and blind. Indigo is an opening to enter, the threshold, the leap. Indigo has lots of room. It is a birthing space. Indigo intuits when thinking fails, holds us when all is lost. We rest in the depth of that blackening blue. Indigo invites us in, is open, seeking, discerning. Indigo is the wise third eye, the one that looks again and harder. Indigo persists, is true blue, but lets go when the time comes to let go. We are indigo. We are indigo.
Calling out violet. Violet is the crown on our intellect, the tiara, the jewel of this body. Violet knows what it all means, sees the whole picture, and because of that lives in the now, in the I am, in the we are. Violet is here, aware, purposeful, generous, connected. Violet reaches for light, more light. Amethyst, aster, crocus, phlox, purple. Purple is a pansy on a mission. Vivid, sure, and wild and crazy. Purple inspires. The color purple is transformation, is giving into change, embracing change. Purple is easy in the chaos, focused, courageous. A purple heart, the one who reaches out and snatches you from the jaws of death. We are violet. We are violet.
We are all the colors of the rainbow. We are all the colors. Blessed be. Amen.
So if you want to put the color you picked in the chat, that would be great. I decided that I'm blue like that beautiful cornflower. In closing, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with the rigors of work and schooling over Zoom. Thank you for not getting terribly sick, for not dying if you did get sick, for helping where you could out there in pandemic world, for stepping up to some task in the fellowship, big or small, that needed doing, for being supportive of others who did so, like the people behind the Sunday services, behind our financial survival, behind our maintenance and COVID safety magic, behind our care for families with children and elders alone, behind our determination to stay in touch with all our members, behind our tech tutoring effort, behind the music you hear that seems so simple but is actually so complicated, behind our persistent efforts to maintain our democracy, care for people deemed unworthy, address a broken justice system. Just thank you for showing up in a black and white world and doggedly enduring until the slow healing gradually opened the doors to all the colors. May your summers be bright, easy, and colorful. May it restore your soul.
As the end of our service draws near, and as we prepare to extinguish the chalice, I read the words of Thich Nhat Hanh. Words can travel thousands of miles. May our words create mutual understanding and love. May they be as beautiful as gems, as lovely as flowers.
Our benediction is from the collection of scripture at the back of our hymnal, a fragment of a poem by May Sarton, who serves as our emissary of pride on this Sunday in a month of pride. Help us to be the always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness nothing comes to birth, as without light nothing flowers. And all you dads out there and children of dads, I hope your Father's Day is happy. Amen.
Everybody can unmute now.
Hi, everybody.